is going to be shared here in the chat. As well as you can Google to find the Beacon webpage that Miss Jennifer was just referencing. From this webpage, you can click several different locations, login, registration, click here. All three of those links will take you to where you can click on login and access the site. Again, when you access the site, this will be the landing page that you'll see. Intake is the process in which you, a end user, can submit a request for a procurement. Couple of the things that I want to point out on the page here is under the logo on the left-hand side, we'll see My Project Request, All Project Requests. My Project Request will be the default when you log in. This will show you any of the intake requests that you've submitted and the stage or the status as to which that intake request is currently at. Draft means you're still working on it, you're still editing it, you haven't submitted it yet. Review means that you have submitted this intake request and the procurement department now is going to take over the process. Closed is once the procurement department has processed the intake request, they will close out the particular request and it will then populate on their side under projects. When it shows up on this screen, that means you either created that intake request or you are collaborating as a collaborator within that particular request. So our software allows users to add additional users to be able to chat or work together in building that process. If you want to see all projects, you can click on the all project request to be able to see everything. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll see your initials with a caret for a drop-down. You'll find settings located within that drop-down. Here you can update your name, job title, department. Left to right, you can also update your email address if required. You can update your phone number if needed, your address, reset your password if for whatever reason you want to change and reset your password. And then the last tab is experiments. With experiments, there's one single toggle. You notice how the outline of my view is very wide. By toggling this off, I now go back to the standard view, which is just a more narrow view. So I personally prefer to keep the experiments turned on so it gives me the wide view of the entire page. From there, just to the right, you see a little question mark. This question mark will take you to our help center. If you have any questions as you are navigating through the system, this help center works as a instruction manual of sorts. Instead of having a beginning to end type manual process, you're able to keyword search words for different articles. So if you're just wanting to reference, how do I build that intake request? Well, we see that we have an article here for new intake request. We have an article that walks through and explains the intake landing page. What is an intake request? Where to see your intake request. So there's a multitude of articles that reference intake that you can access at any point to familiarize yourself more with the software. Again, we also have, besides the keyword search, from 8 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Pacific, customer service that we can access. Just click on the blue button. You'll have a little pop-up here. Click on send us a message. Once you've submitted your chat, we'll have a response, and their goal is typically 5 minutes or less to respond. Once you've received all the help that you were looking for and you're able to access the information, you can simply just hit the blue button again to minimize that chat bubble. And Cody has a great sense of humor here. All right, so now we can jump over to intake. With intake, there are 2 ways to create that new request. Up in the top of the banner here, we have this plus new button. And then on the left-hand side, underneath the logo, at the very bottom, we have this nice big blue button that says plus new project request. Clicking either button will start that new intake. Now, some of you, depending on your security settings, may see additional options here, or it may only be just intake. Once on this screen, just a quick brief description. Your project creator is you, because you're the one that's doing the clicks. You're the one that's creating that intake request. Project contact is typically you as well, so that that will match. Your procurement contact will be identified based on the department that you work for. This has been set up in the system already by Cody and Jen, so that way you can identify that information right off the bat and you don't have to stress over who that needs to be. You click create project. Here on this screen, a couple of things that I just want to point out is that we have the segments of your intake. Next to those segments, you have little grayed out circles with white check marks. These are indications that you have not touched any of the action items on that page and that they need to be completed before you're given a green check mark to know that you are good to move forward within that segment. Now, you're able to move forward at any time if you want to jump to a separate section and work on that section first. So for example, if I wanted to jump to scope of work and get started on that section, I can before completing this information. So, but it won't give me the green check mark because I haven't completed all the action items yet. So first things first, we'll put in a title. Since we're working with some public works people in here, we can type in construction services highway 87 Shea Boulevard. I just made up some cross streets that are in my area. Your project ID, you can simply just type in or click on the get auto number, and this will assign that number. This information will be updated once it's rolled over to procurement, so you don't have to worry about that. I do believe that Jen had mentioned in other trainings, there may be some departments that have particular numbers that they utilize to track based upon funding, or if they're working within a certain grant. So you are able to put that information here as well if that is something that's needed.
Yeah, this is actually this is the most of the DPW and DOMI crowd that would actually use that. So Andrea, for example, I know you guys have, DPW has project IDs, so you could use that project ID for your internal reference instead of getting the auto number.
And then as Jen stated in the chat, this will only be used for things that are not already on contract or need to be bid to co-stars and etc. It replaces the current paper procurement request form. If you have a budget amount that you are aware of, you're able to put that information in here, as well as the account code. Optional to put in some type of budget description. I believe Jen has stated in the past trainings that there will be rare occasions when these are actually required and mandatory, like an RFP process. Is that correct, Jen?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. So once you've completed this section, you can see here that we've received our green check mark. We have two ways to save our progress because the software doesn't automatically save as you move through it. You can simply click the save button at the top of the screen or click the next button at the bottom of the screen. This will transition you, the bottom button will transition you to the next session while saving, whereas the top save button will only save the progress.
And just to further clarify what you said about the RFPs, that's where you guys, in that budget account, that's where you would put your JDE account string.
All right, so on this second page, these are some questions that the procurement department has come up with to help identify which type of procurement that you're gonna need. So the first question is asking, is this gonna be for a commodity or a non-professional service or a professional service? So I would say, do you guys identify construction as a professional service or a commodity / non-professional service?
That would be for commodity or non-professional service.
Perfect. We're gonna, for all intents and purposes of this training, we're gonna say it's a one-time purchase. Here we would say not applicable. If it was not a one-time purchase, then you would just provide the anticipated contract term. When do you need the product or service delivered by? We're in the early stages, so we're gonna say we need it by March 15th of 2022. If the requester is different from the subject matter expert, who is the contact person? So if you are entering this on behalf of your director and you want your director or project manager or internal engineer to be the contact, you're able to put that information in here. Is this work utilizing an Itq contract? Have you purchased the products or service previously? Again, if you choose a different answer and there's a subsequent question below, just provide the information that it's looking for. So if we would have chose yes, we would have just typed in the contract that we had used priorly. Has this previously been competitively bid? You know what? I'm really not sure. So I'm just going to play it on the safe side and say no. However, if I knew specifically it had, I could then provide the procurement department either that competitive bid, solicitation number, title, or date. How are we going to pay for this? I'm going to say capital. Please confirm that the project funding is already in the budget. Does the department want to hold a pre-bid? Yes. So I'm going to say, let's do early February for that pre-bid. Do an early morning pre-bid. We give specific information so that way the procurement department, when issuing that solicitation, they're able to provide when that pre-bid is, as well as specific meeting instructions on where to have the vendors meet you as the project contact for that job walk. All right, looks like a couple people needed some login, so Jen's taking care of that. Will additional documents, diagrams, etc., be attached to the solicitation? Yes. So I've worked with architect, engineer, civil planning, whatever departments I've needed to work with for that construction. This intake process now will allow me to attach those much needed documents for procurement to add to their solicitation. Do I need any samples? Not for this particular solicitation. Do you want to use a cooperative agreement? If one is already available, sure. Do we have any specific vendors in mind? If we do, we can put in the vendor name and the contact info for the procurement department to add to that request. And then if this is a low bid situation, please attach a list of items that you're wanting on that pricing page. So once I've answered all my questions, we can see that we've gotten the green check marks throughout the process. And I can scroll to the top to verify that I've answered all the required questions that were needed. Move on to the next section. Here, I'm going to be able to put in a summary for what it is that I'm looking for. Now, Jen and Cody have explained this to the other training classes, that you don't necessarily have to worry about your grammar and the entirety of what you put in here. Basically, what you're adding here is so the buyer knows in layman's terms what it is that you're looking for from this procurement. They will clean it up. They will make it all nice and neat before it gets put out on the street. So you just put a brief statement, typically 3 to 5 sentences or less. You can put some background information in here. First paved in 1977, resurfaced in 1996, or whatever pertinent background information may be needed for this particular procurement. Now, as I hover over each of these sections, you'll see that there's these little chat plus bubbles next to each one of these, as well as up here on introduction. This is that collaboration piece that I was speaking to earlier, that if you needed to collaborate with somebody else within your organization, you have the ability to reach out to them. I see Joe laying on here. Hey, Joe, does this look good? And then if Joe is a user already in the system, oh, sorry, Joe, I don't see that you have an invite yet, but I could tag you, like Cody, I could tag here and reach out to Cody. Hey, Cody, does this look good? I can make a comment. Cody's able then to receive that email notification in real time, or if he's in the software, he could see it as well, that it popped up at the bottom left-hand corner of his screen that said that there was an update to this project. Cody then can respond, and if he says, yep, looks good, I could click resolve and close out that conversation. There may be somebody I need to reach out for background information. Now, I know Jen's in procurement, but I'm using her as an example so that I could reach out to her. You know, maybe she's somebody else within my department that might have access to that background information that I need as I'm building it. I can tag her and just let her know, hey, I just need some of this additional information. She's able to then respond back, provide me any information that I was looking for. I could simply copy and paste into that background and resolve the comment once everything is said and done. Now, if you have any questions as to the comment history and you want to access that a couple days later, you want to come back and review that, you do have the ability, let's save our progress where we're at, to click on the review button. And under review, you can see what you've done thus far in the different areas that you have available. You can see how you answered your questions. And you can see comments. Now, when you click on all comments, only your active and open comments will show here. All of your hidden comments or your resolved comments will be right over here on the right-hand side of the screen. So we can see here that I had a comment under introduction, and that was for the entire section. And then also under introduction, I had a comment on background. The view item will take me right to that area, and it will highlight the area that I was referencing. And I'm having the ability to click on the chat bubble to continue that conversation or reopen the current conversation that was closed. And then in review, the last tab over here is the revision history, where I have the option of comparing the original template versus where I'm at now. I can see where the different versions may be listed here, as well as my save history. Within the save history, I can click on any one of these saves. It'll show me in the right-hand side with the toggle switches that I can go through the 17 edits that were made on that particular save. If something was added, you'll see that in a green font highlight. If something was deleted, you will see that in a red strike through line. And I'm just seeing if we have any changes that we deleted. No, we do not. So if I was to go to the intro and I wanted to strike out, maybe 1996 was incorrect and it was 1997. So I'm going to save. I can now come up to review and I can look at my revision history and see my most recent save history that there were 2 edits. The red 1996 is showing that it's stricken out in red. That was the deletion, with 1997 showing in green as that was my new add. Moving on to scope of work. To start our scope of work, we can just click the green button here. There are 5 tabs breaking down the instructions to you on how to add scope of work. Once you're comfortable with those instructions, you can skip them altogether just by clicking this link at the bottom. And this is going to be the landing page once you are ready to start entering your scope. You can enter your scope a couple different ways. We can simply type it in. We can add items here. We have the ability to, you saw me adding right here with the add item. Over here on the right-hand side, maybe I realized that I should have added something in between civil and concrete. I can click the blue button on civil, and that will give me a blank box to start in for maybe this is going to be aggregate, everything that's involved with aggregate. Or maybe I need to move something from one part to the other. The 6 little dots here is called the drag pad. You're able to left click and then drag to reorder if you need to. The red X is the delete button. You want to get rid of something, you hit the red X, totally deletes it. If you have project attachments such as civil drawings, as-built, architectural engineering drawings, white paper sheet specs, pictures, maps, whatever it is that you want to attach for the procurement department to add to that solicitation, you're able to click in the perforated box, grab what it is that you need to. It uploads into the perforated box here, or you can, if working on multiple screens, simply drag and drop the information over, drop it in there. You're able to retitleize it. And then upload that document to be passed forward to the procurement department. Now, that's one way of entering the information by free typing it. Another way that you can enter the information is if you have a document that you can open up and copy and paste the information from, the information is able to be copied and pasted. So I can copy the title, plug it in, copy the description of whatever I want to go into this box, plug it in. We do have some different icons here. We can bold, italicize, underline. If we have additional information, we can create formatting. We're able to tab this over to make subcategories. We're able to turn into bullet points. If you need to enter a website link, you're able to do that. I can type in the link, copy the information, click on the insert link button, paste that link there, and it now turns it into an active website link. I also have the ability to align the information if I want it to be centered or left. I also have the ability to insert an image and embed it. So if I needed to insert some type of picture, I could enter that picture in. Now you're going to see that it's super huge. I can click on the picture and I can actually adjust the size to fit within the confines of the document that I'm working in. And there's variables that can be added as well, such as your project title, your ID, and different things like that. The last but not least, you have the ability to search within our scope library. We have over 3,974 projects here that you're able to keyword search. Maybe it's on pavement, so I can keyword search pavement. See what other agencies may have utilized for their scope of work. I can click on all, or I can click on just one and copy that scope item over. And I can do that multiple times. So if I want to search out multiple projects to see what's available out there, I'm able to do that, and it saves my work as I copy that scope in. Some of these scopes might have not been completed all the way. They may have attached just documents. Once I've attached all my scope or built it out, this section is good. I can click next. And this is where I can attach the rest of my documents. I can attach my pricing page here, or any other items that the procurement department may need for us to be able to complete the procurement process. In the summary, yes, you can. Sorry, I'm just seeing that. We'll jump back over to the summary. You'll see that the icons are here. So if there was a website for www.engagepgh.com, I'm not sure of the actual website. I'm just making one up based on that information. I'm going to copy this, click on the insert link, paste, and now that turns it into a URL link. Any other questions before moving on to the next segment? Nope. All right. So at this point, I'm ready to submit my project request. The system is going to check to see if I left anything that was required incomplete. If I get all green check marks, it means all required actions were completed. And now I can submit the project request to the buyer. So at this point, based on what department you work for, that's going to route this to the particular buyer. I think everybody's been having some internet issues today. There we go. This is the view that you'll get that once you've processed the request and sent it to the buyer to finish out the process. Right now, the request is pending. For training purposes, I'm going to edit and change it to myself. The view that the buyer will receive is as soon as this process is through. And you'll notice your status will change as well from draft to request review. This is the view that the buyer will receive. The buyer will have the option to create the solicitation based on the information you provided. They have a multitude of templates, so they'll make, based on those questions asked, they'll make the decision on which template to use to move forward with that procurement. Maybe in rare occasions, they may be able to move straight to contract. If you decide to cancel it, you can reach out to them, close out the request, the buyer will close it out for you. Or if the buyer needs more information, they may send the request back to you in draft stage and then comment in the sections that they may need to request more information on. That concludes the intake portion. Once they have created that solicitation process, you may be asked to collaborate within the procurement itself. So just like in the intake process, you're going to have these little chat bubbles here that you'll be able to be tagged in and asked to participate in any clarifications or added information within that section. In the review process, once the procurement is completed, you may also be invited as a approver to come in and look through the project documents, make sure that everything was set up the way you intended to. You can talk and conversate through the comments area. Once everything is to your satisfaction, you're simply going to click mark approve, kind of like Chief Romano did here. He approved it, and it gives you the date and time that he approved that solicitation. Cody and Jen would then come in here, and once they've had the opportunity to review it, they will mark it as approved, and the buyer can finalize the project and post it to the public. Once your project is out on the street, another area that you may be asked to participate in is questions and answers. This one doesn't have any questions. Let's see if there's another one. There we go. So when a question comes in, you have the opportunity to be tagged in the question, and you will see a box that you're able to reply. So you can read the question, respond to the question, you hit reply. The procurement agent will then be the one to release it to the public in case they need to add more information or wait to release several questions at the same time. The questions can be approved or excluded by the procurement person right up front prior to adding you as a subject matter expert to respond. And then again, they would be able to release all questions at once or one by one, depending on the situation. And then finally, one of the last areas that you may be asked to participate in is in a evaluation process. As a best value evaluator, they will have set up criteria that they either received from you or that they have as a predetermined set of criteria. You would then be able to review the proposals as that evaluator and score based on your expertise within that area and provide feedback to the procurement department for a best recommendation. So those are all the different areas that you will potentially experience. The public portal can be viewed by clicking on the public portal button. I will also drop the link into the chat. This can be viewed at anybody at any time. Once on this page, you can see that you can actually filter solicitations by department. So currently Public Works has 3 solicitations out on the street. You're also able to filter by active, pending, closed, and coming soon. Any questions? All right. Well, I think that's everything that I have to show for today, and I can provide 20 minutes of your time back to you unless there are any additional inquiries or questions. Jen, Cody, do you guys have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, guys, feel free to reach out to us with any questions. We need to loop in the OpenGov team. We can do that as well, and you know, be sure to use the functionality of the chat box as well. It's a quick and easy use for us as well. So any questions come up, don't hesitate to reach out to us. So thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Bobby and OpenGov team, for putting this on. Jen doesn't have
Absolutely.
anything else to add. I think we're good.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, I had to put you guys on mute and pick up a phone call, but just wanted to make sure that we did go over the Q&A tool and RFP scoring.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and when the time comes for a particular RFP, if there is any additional training or help needed, please do not hesitate to click on the little blue button, and somebody from our support team will happily jump on chat with you. If there's additional training needed, such as you're just not sure that you're doing the right thing, they can also schedule a quick Zoom call, hop on and actually walk you through click by click on how to do that process. So please reach out to us with any questions. Don't struggle. Don't waste more than 5-10 minutes looking around how to do something. Our guys can hop on and help you out very quickly. All right. Well, everybody, I hope you have a great afternoon and Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Bobby.
Everybody have a nice holiday.